Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. I am Emily from GoWP. It's really great to have everyone here. I'm just checking to make sure we are live on Facebook. So if you are seeing us over there, let me know. Say hi in the comments. Those come in to us over here on Restream. If you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, we're live on LinkedIn as well. So anywhere you're watching, just make sure you say hi so we know you can see us and you can hear us. Like I said, I'm Emily from GoWP, and we are here today for our GoWP Expert Series live with Tricia Clements on Google Business Profile and Local SEO. So again, if you're watching us, I see some folks are saying hi, hello, thank you for tuning in. It's great to have you here. Before we get started, I'm just going to say a couple quick words about GoWP in case anyone who's watching this live with us now or watching the recording later isn't fully familiar with us. I want to just bring you up to speed. So at GoWP, we like to say that we create happiness for digital agencies and help them to become more profitable. So whether you're looking to grow your team with a developer, copywriter, designer, virtual assistant, or you're interested in outsourcing services like maintenance and content edits, we've got you covered. Also, if you're looking for coaching, mentorship, help to take your agency to the next level, I really would love for you to check out the Micro Agency Academy. It's a new academy we have recently launched with a curriculum that was designed by Chris Lemma, who is just a legendary business strategist in the product space and service space, works with a lot of agencies. A lot of folks in this community are familiar with him. And coaching and accountability work done by Pete Perry, who is also a fantastic coach who has been there through all of the ups and downs of agency life and come out on the other side. So we'd love to have you check out the Micro Agency Academy. The course in the coaching program is designed to empower you to boost your monthly recurring revenue, master the art of strategic hiring, so you know who to hire, who to hire next, and when to hire them and how, to help you boost your sales closing rate and really just amplify profits so that you're able to earn more and work less. So that's the goal there. And right now we are running a special where you can take 50% off the first month with code GoWP50. And I will be putting the link to that in the comments, but that is microagencyacademy.com. I just posted a really fantastic testimonial we got this week from one of the members in there. So I'll post that too, so you guys can check that out. But it's really great stuff that's happening in there. I'd love to get more folks in there. And if you're interested or have questions about what that looks like, or if it's the right move for you in your business, you can schedule a call with Pete and just get like some sounding board and tell him a little bit about your business, and he'll let you know if this is, the right time for it, or maybe there's some things you should get in line to really get the most out of it before you join. So I'll post those links in the chat when I'm done talking. But that's GoWP and Micro Agency Academy. So today we are here with Tricia Clements, who is the owner of Your Biz Watchdog, which focuses on local SEO. And she helps agency owners by providing white label Google Business Profile management. She has extensive experience in helping clients with problem Google Business Profile accounts, which can be a major headache, as a lot of us know, hopefully not all of us, but if you don't know, you will know probably. And things like suspensions and all of that mess, she helps them with her Google Business Profile Fix-It services. So we're very fortunate to have her here with us as our expert. She has already done several of these sessions with us that are always super valuable, lots of great tips and strategies for local SEO and Google Business Profile. And I want to just say up front, if you're watching, if you're here with us, put your questions in the comments, because Tricia always has an answer for the questions. I'm going to jinx it now, but if she doesn't have an answer live, she finds it, she figures it out. She's so knowledgeable on this. So it really is just a fantastic opportunity for you to get answers to your questions about Google Business Profile and local SEO. So Tricia, thank you for being here. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Emily, for having me and to GoWP for this. I appreciate it. Welcome, everyone. I'm talking, of course, about Google Business Profiles. And before I get started, if I pop a cough drop in my mouth, I am getting over a small cold. So apologize for that up front. Also, I was, I guess it was a week and a half ago, at WordCamp Atlanta. If any other camps come up in your area, I do highly recommend you check them out, and get out and meet with, in person again, with other agency owners and business owners. And it's just a really good thing for really getting knowledge from going to the sessions, and also the networking that you get out of it. So wanted to, I have a link for Emily to put in the comments for you, is just the link to the Google guidelines. I know we've posted that several times, but just want to post that for you all again so that you can have that. One of the things I want to talk about, and I've had quite a few questions about it, and it comes up quite a bit often now, is the verification process for Google Business Profiles. Now, typically when you set up a brand new profile, you're going to have to get it verified. And that you can also have to get what's called a re-verified. If you do something like change your address, or change something that Google will sometimes do, like what they call a quality check, just to make sure if you're changing something that they consider one of your core business things, again, like your address, then they may request that you re-verify. And in the past, it used to be like a phone or a text or a postcard. And now they have changed, and it's pretty much pretty standard now that you have the option to do a video verification. Sometimes that is the only one that you are allowed to do, is video verification. And one of the big questions I get is, oh, this is a pain. Why do I have to do this video verification? Why is Google making these changes? And I will tell you that the big reason is because there are businesses that have gotten verified that are ineligible for Google Business Profiles. So they're on the map and they really shouldn't be. So this verification is Google's way of going in and having a way to better verify a business that the information you're providing is correct. It's a lot harder to provide information that is not real, actually, about your business through a video. So it's a lot harder to to fake the video. So that is why Google has gone to video verification. Just for you all who are wondering, why do I have to do this now? And I know that some businesses have run into issues trying to get verified with video. So I wanted to go through a couple of things that if you have to do a video verification, that kind of the steps when you're doing that video of what you need to do. There are two types. One is just where you would record the video and upload it. The other is, and typically this is if you're having issues with the first uploading, you would schedule and do actually like a live video with someone there, a Google support, where you're doing it live with them. So these are some things that you need to kind of basically have written down before you do your videos, because you're not going to want to just go ahead and start it, because you're going to have to redo it several times if you do, because there are a lot of things you need to have in the video. So first is, think about for brick and mortar. These are actually the physical locations that customers come into, storefronts, offices, things like that, that you actually have your physical location on Google. Your first thing you need to look at your business location. So when you're doing videos for these verifications, it has to be a continuous video, no pausing. Google doesn't want you to pause and then come back. It's got to be continuous. That's why you kind of need to know what you're, where you're going to go afterwards when you're doing the video. So basically, it just continuous shot. The business owner, employee, authorized person. First is the business location. I would start, whether you're doing a brick and mortar or service area business with the address hidden, I would start outside and start with your street sign, and then showing where it's got your street name on there that's in your address. And then sometimes that is a little ways away from your business. So this might be something, it kind of depends on how far away it is. I've told someone once, I was like, well, if it's a little ways down the road, personally, you can't pause the video, and I would want to show that sign for Google, I would have a friend get in the car and drive me down to start the video. Then you're going to go to, when you're outside the business, especially for brick and mortar, you're going to show the businesses around your business, showing, because Google can see their businesses on the map as well, and then show your business. One important thing you want to do is have your key and unlock the door and show Google that you actually have have access to that location, because it's locked, and then you open the door and then show that you're going into the business. This is both for service area and brick and mortar. You're going to want to show that. If you're a service area business and you have equipment, let's say you've got a truck, you do handyman or your lawn service or something like that, and you've got your business truck there. Show that, especially if you've got tools in that truck or vehicle or whatever that is. Open the door, show the equipment that you use in your business. Show that. If you've got a wrapped vehicle, definitely show that. It's okay if you don't, but show your tools and your equipment that you use for your business. And then again, go into your business, unlock the door. Let me back up. If you're a brick and mortar, before you go into the business and you're showing your business, make sure you show your permanent business signage. So before you go in, make sure you show that. And that's really important. If you're showing your address, Google needs to see that it is a permanent sign. It is not something you just printed out on the printer and taped up, or I've heard of all kinds of different things. Definitely, you want to make sure that it is a permanent signage for brick and mortar stores. This would not be related to service area businesses. So show that business, and then you're going to go inside the business. And the next thing you're going to do is show your business and equipment. So you'll go into the business, unlock the door, prove that you have access to things like if you are actually a brick and mortar store, you probably have areas that are just for staff only. So go into those areas, whether it's a storage storage room. If you've got like a break room for employees, go into those areas. Access to other things that just customers would not have access to. Show that you are having access to that. Show your different things on your operations. If you've got branded materials out, different equipment, different tools specific for your type of business that you're doing. Definitely show that. If you are, let's say you've got, I was talking earlier to Emily about my acupuncturist. If you've got your room set up where they're going to be, your patients are going to be, and you've got, show them those rooms, show the different, like for acupuncture, be the acupuncture needles, for whatever it is that your business is, show those specific tools. If you have items for sale, show pictures, show that in the video. Make sure that you're showing all your information on your business. Also, while you're there, I would also have, and it depends on where you are. If you have a business license, make sure you've got that up and show that to the on the video as well, that's your business license that you have up. And then of course, like I said, proof of ownership management is going back into places that the public does not have access to, whether that is different break rooms, things, and again, non-sensitive business documents, unlocking a cash box if you have that. And a lot of times nowadays we use our credit card, but if you've got the credit card machine things out there, you can show that. If you're a service area business, this is where it gets a little bit tricky, because we typically would work out of our home and visit our customers. So with that, if you've got like your office space set up, show your office space that's set up. And I would have some of your documentation printed out so you can show that you've got your Secretary of State, business license, whatever it is that you have there. Make sure that you're showing that information as well. For service area businesses, show as much as you can. If you, for your business, the space that you work out of. Pretty much if you're working from home, you probably have a dedicated space with your computer and printer, whatever you've got. I still have a printer. I know a lot of people nowadays don't have that, but go ahead and include as much of that as you can. And then once you're done, then you would upload that. Sometimes if you started the verification on your computer and you're doing the video on your phone, most likely, the computer, it'll have a QR code that once you scan that, then that will allow you to say upload your video, and then you can upload it. So a couple things to remember: no pausing. Get that whole video in one take. That's why you need to kind of have a list of what you're going to do, where you're going to go. Make sure you get all of those items in that video to then send it to them. One thing I have heard, the video verification, it is relatively new. It hasn't been around for a really long time. And sometimes you will get stuck and in the waiting to be verified, or you get verified, but it's still kind of stuck. That's something that you can reach out and we can try to actually, you could reach out to Google support on your Google business profile. There's a help there. Click that and say, you've uploaded the video and you're still waiting for it verification. And based on that, it kind of each one is a little bit different how they'll respond to you, but hopefully they should get that resolved. So want to see, I know video verification can be difficult, and let me know. I think there are a couple of questions. So Emily, I'm going to see what questions we have before I move on, because I know there are probably quite a few.
Yes, there are a couple questions. So I'll start with the most recent one and then we'll go back. So what about clients that work from home, like a pool cleaner is the example this person gave, having that issue with a client now? They live a few minutes from the street signs and there is no signage. What would you recommend there?
So let's see, they live a few minutes from the street signs. There's no signage. I think the no signage he means is there's no business signage. And that would typically be the case if no business signage outside, which is fine. What I personally would do is if they have a spouse, a family member, or a friend, is to have them drive from the street sign while they're videoing it, to make it shorter, because I know they're not going to want to walk all that distance while recording. And then show the street number, like if it's on their mailbox or their house, make sure you show that. If it's something like, for example, a pool cleaner, I'm assuming they probably have a vehicle with their pool cleaning supplies, and it probably has the business name on the outside. Make sure you're showing that in the video as well, at that address that you're showing that. And then from there, go inside, unlock the door, go inside, and don't stop the video there. You need to show that you're going inside. Google wants to know that you actually have access to that address. So that's the big thing of not just going up to the door, but unlocking it. I know that some people have tried to use addresses, maybe like an employee or something, and they don't really have access to it. So they'll go to the door and stop the video. That doesn't work. So Paul says that no business signs not allowed by the OSHA. That is perfectly fine for service area businesses. Most service area businesses are not going to have that business sign, which is fine. You just need to show the street, the number at the house. And then again, if you have any vehicles that have the information on, even if they keep them because of the HOA in the garage, each place it depends on what they have. They can open it and say, well, here are all of our supplies. I would assume that they keep their supplies for cleaning it worked on for cleaning somewhere there, and then go inside the house. And I would assume that they probably have some type of setup where they maybe do invoicing or something like that on the computer. You would show that. And then I would go ahead and print out like the Secretary of State business license, maybe even business insurance that has the business name and that address on it. I would show those. Did I answer that question for you, Paul, or do you still have any more questions?
A question around that also was, does the video need to have audio?
Yes. I say yes. I've not seen one that hasn't had audio. And I guess that isn't one that I've had come up before. All of them that I've done have had audio. Not necessarily that you need to speak a lot because you're showing the sign, you're just kind of showing things. So it's not necessarily that you have to really speak unless you want to say, this is the computer, I do my invoicing here, this is. So you really don't need to talk a lot from it. I would include audio just because that's how most videos are recorded with audio. But I have not heard of someone not using audio, not getting verified. So I'm not sure about that one for what Google will do.
And what about privacy concerns? So Laura mentioned, I worry about going through my house because that video is out there then.
Sure.
Any thoughts or advice on that?
Yeah, so that is something. This is uploaded to Google support, and so that's something that it's not actually uploaded to your profile. But I do understand you could have some issues with that. I would just say that when you're doing that, try to make the video. You can make sure that you're opening the door, and even if you maybe even want to have the video maybe show the floor where you're walking in and not necessarily the things there, that shows that you're still going in. You're not pausing the video until you get to, let's say, your office. So that's how I would do it. And again, it's not uploaded to your live profile on the map. You're uploading it to Google. However, I do understand your security concerns. I can just say that that's what Google requires.
Yeah. So. And you are not Google. It's not Tricia.
Yes. No. No.
And Paul did respond that answers his question. And he's finding that it's a lot of people that are having these issues and getting frustrated and just giving up on it, right?
Yeah. I have had that. I think the main thing is kind of sitting down and having them get those things that I just went over in order and kind of writing a list. Okay, we're going to start here. We're going to go here. We're going to show the street sign. We're going to show the mailbox or the house with the street number. We're going to show any outside vehicles that we have. And I'm talking about service area businesses. I think that's what Paul has his issue about as well, because they tend to be a little bit different. And show unlocking the door, going inside, showing your desk and everything there. It can be difficult, especially. I know a lot of businesses, we don't quite understand. It's like, why do I have to prove this to Google? And I would say the answer to that is not necessarily, Google, why are you doing this? It's more of, why did all these spammers on the map create this problem for us? So it's kind of, Paul, definitely go through and work through the list of things. And that's something I'm going to work through, even though I have it written down. I don't really have like a set checklist to do. And it can be a little bit different. Each business is a little bit different. So that's why it can be a little bit tricky on that. But yeah, definitely let me know. Hopefully they will, they'll get verified. So.
Yeah, great question and really good response there. Another question that we had come in is, what do I do to help the agency gain access, what do I do to help my client gain access to her account? She used to have a storefront, no longer does, now only has an online store, and her hometown has no mail services. So verification postcard is a no-go. Her business name is Mercedes Rain Chocolates in North Liberty, Indiana.
Okay. So let's see. One question is, she's trying to get access to it. Did the account get, she need to re-verify it, or did it get suspended? Need to kind of see what, sounded like lost access, like she does. Is she trying to get it verified, or she actually cannot access her profile anymore?
Yeah, I'm not sure. We'll see if they chime back in.
We'll see about that. And I will say that if you change from a brick and mortar store to a service area business where you hide your address, that does kind of trigger things, and you're likely to get a reinstatement on it, because that's kind of like the core how Google sees you as doing business. If you have a storefront and all of a sudden you don't, that's to Google, that's like a complete change, and they really want to check and see. So she says the profile says closed and she can't access it. Okay. So that one is probably going to be difficult. I'm wondering if she marked it as closed or someone else did. It could be if they moved, and so whoever else came into that spot had it marked as closed so that they could then open their business at that location. That can be a bit trickier because you need to get access to it, and get it verified and change it to a service area business. That's not just kind of a cut and dry answer as far as this is how you need to do it. It's something that she's going to have to work with a little bit, because that's something I would say, if somebody is changing their business from a brick and mortar to a service area business, to not really wait and to go ahead and change the address in there and change it to service area business. Because if it's now saying closed, I suspect that the person who maybe is now in that location, that she used to be in, is using that address, and that's why Google has it as closed. So that could be something. If you go on and where you say add a business, you go to business.google.com and you say like add my business, and she starts typing her business name in, she may be able to go through there and say, okay, claim this business. And if she's trying to do that, that would be a way to try to claim it and gain access to it and then make the updates. So see if she can. That one's kind of going to be a little bit of a trial and error to look at all the different issues on it. So
definitely sounds like a headache. I know that there's so many examples of issues like this. I just in my hometown, I know that I was at a restaurant the other night. Your Google says that you're closed on Tuesdays. And they're like, I know, we've been trying to get it transferred from the previous owners and that.
Yes. And speaking of which, I would say if you are buying a business from someone, or you have a client that's buying a business from someone, when they're working on the documents for the legal documents for purchasing that, tell them to include in there that they are going to give you everything. They probably have in their stuff about their website. They know they need that. Include in there the Google business profile, so that they say that they are required to hand that over to the new owner. It's just a little bit better to have that in there, so that then you can say you've agreed to this, you need to hand it over, because I know that can be difficult, working through that and getting that turned over to you, for sure. Another thing on that same line, and I had it on my notes to mention today, is I mentioned if you could go to business.google.com and then where it says add your business and you type the name in, if that business is there, and it'll ask you if you want to request ownership. Anyone can go out there and do that. And what happens is Google will email the users on the account and say, this person is, this email is attempting to gain ownership of the Google business profile. And sometimes it is legitimate and sometimes it is not legitimate. Sometimes these are businesses out there trying to hijack your account. So what I would make sure that you do is put in your whatever email that you're using for your Google business profile, to put in there, to have typically it'll have the subject line, you've received an ownership request. Put that in there. Anytime something comes in your email, it gets pumped to the top with a big important, never goes to spam. Make sure you set up some kind of filter like that. It says you've received an ownership request. I think I had that copied in our chat, Emily, at the very bottom. I also had an email address that you can also basically filter by and mark as important, business profile -no reply at google.com. I would do both of those. Okay, so so Emily just put those in the chat. I would set up email filters. If you get an ownership request, I know years ago people used to say just make sure you ignore them. I personally now am telling people to not ignore them, to go in and reject it. You want to make sure that you and anyone on the profile, typically it goes out to owners on the profile, but you want to make sure that anybody who's a user on that account, that they know if they get an ownership request that they reject it, and because most of the time you're not going to have that. The only time is if you're actually going through some type of, you want a different email on the, as the owner or something like that, you can go into your account and change it. You're not going to need that ownership request. So I would just make sure to tell your clients that, to make sure that that's kind of on the top of their mind. If they get this email that says you've received an ownership request, to reject it. That's just to be on the safe side, for dealing with businesses that that go out there and try to take over different profiles. Definitely don't want to deal with that. So, okay, I know we got a few more questions that I didn't get to probably.
I think that's most of them. A lot of people are this conversation. It's making a lot of light bulbs go off and saying, "Oh, this is a whole service I can offer to my clients, right? Fixing,
Yes, definitely.
helping with Google Business." And
absolutely. And you know, that's the thing about Google Business Profiles. They have a huge impact for local SEO, businesses that service a specific local geographic area. And so it's really important. I mean, sometimes businesses don't realize how important it is until something happens. And then all of a sudden it's chaos. So I tell my clients, you know, be aware and prepared up front so that you've got all of your paperwork ready. We went over that last month, some of the paperwork, because of the new reinstatement process that is being rolled out at some point in the US. It's currently in the UK. So just something to just, you know, be aware of and make sure your clients are aware of. Let's see, I did see, there was the question, I think that we answered that about the Indiana question. I do want to, one other thing about that. I read through it a little bit more, and it says now it's an online only store. And that's something that if it is online only, and that's the only way that they deal with anything in their business, Google says it's ineligible for Google Business Profile. So that's something that if she's like, well, you know, she's working out of her home, but and while she says maybe she's online only, she does meet customers and maybe does personal deliveries in a specific area, not like by you know, whoever, FedEx, UPS, whoever, but I actually like local delivery of certain things. It says chocolates. Maybe she delivers baskets personally or in the local area. That would be something that, depending on how it's set up, she might be eligible for a service area business where the address is hidden. Then again, she may not be if it is considered online only. So that's something you really need to that's one of the hard things when talking with clients, is checking first to see if they're eligible for that Google Business Profile. Because just because you've had a profile for, I don't know, let's say 8 years, I've had this profile 8 years, I've never had a problem. Just because it's verified and been on the map doesn't mean it's eligible for a profile. Because, you know, like we said earlier, you used to just get the postcard in the mail, and that's how you would do the verification, and not with video verification. So at that point, it was a bit easier to get verified, and Google wasn't checking all these different things. So because of that, some businesses that didn't know they were violating guidelines actually were, and may be ineligible for profile. So just something to think about there as well.
It's fascinating. Jeanette on Facebook, there's just so much nuance to this, right? So she's saying in the UK, sole proprietors, sole traders don't have business licenses.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's been jumping through hoops trying to prove that somebody's a plumber, right?
Yeah.
They don't have a business license.
So I would say, and different, some places, depending on where you are in the States, you don't have business licenses either. And sole proprietor, probably sole trader, I think is probably similar. I would say anything else. So did they have insurance in that name? And as far as the name they're using, is it some type of, not sure what it's called there, but here it would be like either a trade name or doing business as something with that name, that documentation, your insurance, if you have insurance, she says proof like a bank statement, that would work. If you have any type of other type of documentation. And one thing that doesn't work are invoices where somebody's saying, here's an invoice for something. That doesn't work. However, utility bills work. But again, it needs to be in the business name and at that address. So you've got a plumber. If he has a cell phone bill, see if he can get that changed to his business name. If he has an internet for maybe he's got to go online to email his clients, and maybe he can change his internet to his business name. Those are some things to consider. Just trying to think of a few things to help. It can be difficult. Again, if it is if they have an EIN in the U.S., it's an EIN, employer identification number. I'm not sure what they have there. So she says it's home address. They have a few documents in the business name. I typically, when I work with reinstatements, like to have at least 4. In it here, it has to be the business name, and it also needs to be that home address, and they need to match throughout. So that's important. I would see if there's anything else that you've got that they have, they can do. Since it's in the UK, it is a little bit different than kind of what I think of as far as business license and Secretary of State. Of course, it would be but I don't know if they have something over there where, since it's a sole proprietor, they would have some type of doing business as or trade name or something. If they filed that, definitely use that as well. And I had notes of something that is similar to this, and I wanted to mention it. And let me just see if I can find where I had on my notes that I was talking about it. Let's see. I'm not sure. I'm sure I'll get to it. Business name. That was it. Okay. So and this was just recently, I had 2 clients that came to me with questions about business name. So if you are looking to, let's say your business and you've got a client or and you're looking to have a new business and you're looking how to name the business, or if you're looking to rebrand your business, and you're looking to change your business name, one tip is not to make the name so long that it won't fit on a lot of official documentation. That would be something, for example, kind of a general rule that I like to use is around 30 to 35 characters max, and that's the letters plus the spaces. You can use, there's lettercounter.com. You can just Google it and it'll just like count it for you. So you don't have to sit there, and if you change it, it'll just automatically count and tell you how many it is. The reason is when you're going to Google and showing them your documentation that says this is my business name and address, those are the 2 things they want to see that is consistent. If you've got, let's say you've got your DBA and you've got your business name, but then when you go to get your EIN and your tax documents, and you want to make sure that name will fit, because sometimes if you're looking at like the IRS, that characters may be too long and cut it off. And then Google's looking at it saying, well, these names don't match because they've cut it off and they can't. And a lot of utilities the same way. So don't have, I know you want to have keywords in your business name, but don't have these long business names that like are 100 characters long. You're going to have problems with that. I had one recently. She is starting up a new business and she wanted to have a few keywords in her business name. And I said, yeah, that's good, because and I'll have Emily put up the link to the 2023 local search survey that tells you the ranking factors. And I believe it's number 2 on one of those are keywords in your business name. So keywords in your business name, it's a ranking factor. However, it's got to actually match your business name. You can't just stuff it with keywords, because if you do, you have a high chance of getting suspended. So when you're rebranding or changing your business name, or coming up with a new business, you're thinking, well, I want to have some keywords in it. That's good, but don't have so many that you can't fit it. Another thing is, Don't make your business name so generic that when you do, let's say somebody knows your business at this point and they want to do a branded search for your business, all your competitors come up because there's no real brand name to it. It's all a bunch of keywords. So for example, let's just say there's a business, let's say tree service, and let's just say it's a Marietta Tree Service. That's the name of the company. If I search for that business name, that really needs some other name on it to differentiate itself from all other Marietta Tree Services. Because if I search for that business name, I'm going to probably see a bunch of competitors, and I'm not going to see the knowledge panel because Google doesn't know which Marietta Tree Service you're looking for. So, so you want to have some type of different name on that business. So for example, if it's me, it would be Clements Tree Service. You don't want me to have tree service, but just saying, you want to have something affiliated with that name that differentiates itself when searching for others, so that Google and all the searchers know, yes, this is that business. So again, while keywords are important, don't put so many in that they don't fit on all your official documentation. You're going to run into problems with that. So let's see. Yes, I found my notes. I started getting ahead of myself and talking about the business names. And so that's pretty much it. So like, for example, the IRS, the bank, and the utilities, sometimes if your business name is so long, you're going to have to cut it off. And again, if you have a suspension and have to give Google that documentation, they're going to look at it and say it doesn't match. And one thing you have to realize when you're dealing with Google support, most of their support, they are in different countries. And the one thing about that is that they might not necessarily know exactly how you are doing business. You might say, well, have an explanation for why your paperwork is the way it is. They typically have a checklist, and they are looking down their checklist and checking things off. That's why you need to match. They're not looking at explanations for why all these things are not how they think they should be. They have a checklist. They go down that checklist and they check it off. So that's why it's really important to make sure you're getting all of your documentation in order. Let's see. There is also, businesses know that that having keywords in the business name is a ranking factor. You can do it legitimately by having your actual business name be that way. Or if you're, another legitimate way would also be if you're looking at maybe doing a little bit of a rebranding and leave your legal business name, but do what's called a doing business as or a trade name, and filing that paperwork. That would be the proper way to do it. But if you just simply go into your Google business profile and say, oh, I want to use this keyword, I'm going to stuff that keyword in there. For example, I'm Your Biz Watchdog. I'm not Your Biz Watchdog Local SEO. So me putting that in there, that would be stuffing it with keywords and is not my real business name. You may notice that there might be people on the map that have their business name stuffed. One thing is, first, you need to see, is that legitimate? Did they actually rebrand themselves or do a DBA and that's why? Or are they just stuffing it and trying to get away with it? If you think that they are stuffing it and trying to get away with it, you can use the redressal form. And I have a link for Emily to put in the chat. There's Google's redressal form. A couple things I want to make sure that you are aware of before you use this redressal form. First is, if you're going to report a business that you think has issues with why it's on the map, it's probably a competitor, and maybe they're coming up ahead of you, and they are because they are not following Google's guidelines. First, you need to make sure that they are actually not following them, that you look through and they're it doesn't match. That because a lot, if they've gone in, they just simply added a keyword to it. So you need to make sure that they haven't done a rebranding or a DBA or something. The other thing is, if you're submitting that, be aware that even though this is not something that you're submitting live on the map, you're submitting it to Google. If that business gets suspended and goes through reinstatement, they can contact Google and ask and demand to find out who it was that reported them. I know that comes up a lot when you're dealing with attorneys' offices. There's a lot of spam in that category. So interesting as that might be. And so just be aware of that. One thing, want to make sure that if you're using the redressal form, do not use an email address associated with any of your Google business profiles. Okay, make sure you don't use any email. And when you're filling that out and it says one of the questions is what business is impacted by this business online that's not following guidelines. I would simply put NA. You do not want to put your client or your business's name in there. I would just put NA. It's considered spam on the map. So you're just telling Google they're not following guidelines. And once you submit that redressal form, you are not going to get a response from them. At some point, you may notice that either it will change or it will come off the map if they get a hard suspension. But just know that that's the way to submit it, and you won't hear back from them. But definitely make sure that you don't use email addresses affiliated with your Google business profiles. So I think there was a question. Let's see, have a client, a removal company whose LTD company doesn't include removals, but their signage does say removals. Can we change the Google to match the signage, or will they need to change the LTD business name? Okay, so it sounds like, so this is one where the outside signage has the full name with that keyword in it, but their actual legal documentation does not have that LTD, does not have that keyword. Personally, I would recommend before they make changes to their Google business profile to make changes the correct way. And that could be either, you could do a couple different ways. If you don't want to change the LTD, you might see, it depends on where you are. And also with things like this, always consult your attorney or accountant to see as far as how this works for your business and where you are. But what I would have a client do is look into doing a DBA, doing business as, where they don't have to change their actual corporation company's full name. They're just doing business as, so they can keep that main paperwork and do a DBA. That's how I personally would do that. If you're simply making a slight change, you can even do it if you're making a significant change. You can do a DBA. When you do that, you're going to want to do the DBA documentation. You're going to want to make sure that you have a utility bill in that full exact name, how it's going to be, the new DBA name at that address. You're going to want to change all your other supporting documentation. Before, I like to do that before I make that change on the Google business profile, because if you make the change, that is a core item in your Google business profile. When you make that change, it could trigger a suspension just by changing it. And you would need to then provide that information to Google. By getting it already in advance, you are prepared for that. That's how when I recently did helped a business with a full rebranding, and I made sure I had all of that together ahead of time. I also recommend maybe not, it kind of depends on the business and how many different citations are out there, but going through and looking at what citations are out there and some of the bigger ones to change, and some of the ones you have access to, like, for example, go ahead and change your Facebook, your LinkedIn company profile, change all that stuff first, make sure that your website has it, make sure that your website address matches. All those different things, check and make sure that all those things are matching with the new name DBA that you're using before you change your Google business profile. It doesn't mean that you won't get suspended. I believe that it will probably reduce your chance of getting suspended. But also, once you've done that, it'll be a lot easier to get it reinstated. You've gotten your documentation together. All you have to do is then send it to Google and work through your reinstatement. So hopefully that helped. Look at a DBA name or a trade. Yeah, it's it has different ways they refer to it. Doing business as, trade name, things like that. So it kind of depends on your specific state or county, what they call it, and where you have to do it. Some places you just submit online. Some you have to submit to clerk's offices. But definitely make sure that they keep that paperwork. Sometimes businesses, it's, they do the documentation, and then a couple years down the road, they forget about it. Where is it? I don't know. How do I find it? Or maybe we've moved our address. We need to get all this documentation together. Definitely keep all of that. I like to keep a folder and then review it once a year. And that is something that especially has become even more important as Google rolls out their new reinstatement process. Let's see, any more questions on that?
There was one other question, just a brief one that came in earlier. Is there a Google profile help department, Google Business Profile help department, or email to use that someone can explain the situation, ask for help?
There is, you go to business.google.com to your profile, and there's on there, there's a help, and I need to find, I'll look for the link for you, because there is a, I usually just have it linked somewhere, and don't have it here. I'm going to give this to you. So there is a help, and at the bottom it says contact us. Let me give this to Emily so that she can give this to you all. So this is the help desk there. And as far as contacting Google, sometimes I would say that it could be helpful, and sometimes it just depends on who you actually get answering your message. Sometimes you may just get somebody who's just like, yeah, we don't understand, goodbye. Or you may get somebody that will help you. So that's at the bottom of that screen there. There's get help. There's also get help from the community. Sometimes that can be helpful, again, depending on who answers you. So not a solid answer on that. It is kind of it depends. It depends on who you get. And the main thing is, I like to, before I reach out to Google, make sure that I have all the information, all my documentation in order. That's something that I make sure to do, because if there are any questions, any issues with that, you're going to have your documentation right there for them. So anytime before reaching out, make sure you've got your documentation, everything in order. And definitely, if there's our specific questions, you can definitely ask here for us to look at and see. So, because definitely look for questions each month to see, how we can help people with their Google business profiles. So, let's see. I think the other thing that I had a note here to talk about, if you're moving your business, and this was kind of a little bit related to one of the questions earlier. That one, however, they were moving from an actual brick and mortar to a to a service area business. But if you're moving your business and you actually are moving from one brick and mortar location to another, I definitely advise that you not mark that one as permanently closed, but actually change the address in there. Before you do it, have your paperwork in order, but change the address, because the length and history of that profile, it does hold a little bit of weight with your for your business. So you definitely want to keep that, especially if you've got reviews on there and you're the same business, you're simply moving across town. I would recommend not marking it as permanently closed, but going ahead and moving the business. I have seen businesses that have run into problems where they have just kind of abandoned one profile and went and opened a new one up. And then the old profile, they weren't really sure, didn't have access to it. And someone had marked it as permanently closed, and then no one had access to it. Those, I will tell you, can be difficult if you don't have access to it to then handle, because I have seen searchers, let's say you moved across town, and your proximity to the business matters. The searcher who's searching, how close they are to the business. So if they are searching near that permanently closed location, they could search for their business and find just that permanently closed location, and think that the business is maybe closed and out of business. So you definitely want to go ahead and move that. So just a tip, if you've got a business that you're moving, again, get your documentation in order. So question about co-working spaces. So this is something, and Google actually does have specific information about co-working spaces. I had some information written down. I'm gonna see if I've got it. Yes, I do. So co-working spaces is one of those things that Google typically says you shouldn't use as your address. However, there are instances where you can use it. So you need to make sure that if you're using a co-working space address, that you're using it properly. And here's the thing: if the co-working space is just that you rent space and you go in to certain areas wherever and have access to the full location, you should not use that as your address in your Google Business Profile. The one when you can use it is there are co-working spaces that actually have a specific physical office that you rent that office, and probably rent that office monthly, and you have your all of your information, your documents, your working supplies and everything in that office. You also need to have permanent signage outside that door to that office. So that needs to basically be your office. That is where you are, or your staff is during business hours. So that's the one instance where you can use a co-working space address. If you don't have a dedicated office, not just like a desk over here near others, I would not use co-working space address. One thing is that Google does know the addresses for co-working spaces, and there was a time when a lot of people were using Regus addresses for the Regus workspaces, and Google would go through and they would suspend every single profile at that address. So definitely they'll do, it's called a sweep. They'll sweep through, and everything that's verified at that address, they will suspend. So definitely it needs to be permanent signage, open during business hours, and staffed with your staff during those business hours, not someone at the co-working space there. It needs to be your actual staff. So hopefully I answered that. And I think we are close to being out of time unless we have any further last minute questions.
We are. There's been so many good questions and engagement today. That was really great. Really great.
I'm glad. I love answering the questions like that. So you guys come back every month and ask us questions, because that's what I really enjoy helping with that.
Absolutely. And I'm going to post this in the comments. So if you have questions or more, you want to get a little bit more in depth, or maybe you have clients that need this help and you're not the one that wants to do it, reach out to Tricia. She offers white label services as well on this for agency owners. So she works with a lot of agencies to help them provide these services for their clients. She's easy to get a hold of. You can find her here in the group. You can find her at her website there, Your Biz Watchdog. So she truly is the go-to source for Google Business Profile information for agency owners. So thank you so much, Tricia, for your time and wisdom and knowledge today. And thank you to everyone who came and joined us live and asked such wonderful questions that I know are, wonderful maybe isn't the word, because they've been causing you and your clients headaches.
Yes, I'm sure. I know Google can definitely cause headaches, so we just have to work through it and figure them out. But yes, thank you, Emily. I appreciate it. And thank you for everyone for all your questions.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will be back again next month. Stay tuned, because it might be falling within the Thanksgiving week. I'll have to check that, but I think we'll get it scheduled and we'll post it. Yeah. So whenever it happens, it will happen next month. Stay tuned. Subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the channel and you'll be notified when we get these scheduled. So you'll see that. And if you haven't joined our Facebook group yet, do that as well, so you can find out about this expert series. And we also have one with Lindsay Halsey on non-local Google Business Profile SEO, and also Joe Casabona on podcasting and automation. So we have great experts in this series, and we really appreciate their time and sharing their knowledge and experience with all of us. So thank you all. Thank you everyone for joining, and thank you, Tricia. And we'll see you guys
Thank
all
you.
at the next one.
Sounds good. Bye, everyone.